once again, comic fans and collectors. Thanks for tuning in to Iconic Keys. In today's video, I'm going to take a look at 1939's Detective Comics, issue 27, the first appearance of Batman. Much like Action Comics 1, Detective Comics 27 is an anthology of several stories, 12 to be exact. Our first adventure with Batman in Detective Comics 27 likely had a print run of around 200,000 copies, similar to its contemporary titles. It is estimated that currently we have less than 200 complete copies in existence, each one of which could likely fetch a minimum of 6 figures at auction. In early 1939, the success of Superman in Action Comics prompted editors at National Comics Publication, the sister company of Detective Comics, to push for more costumed superheroes in their properties. Answering this call, Bob Kane created the Batman. Bill Finger, who was sort of a ghostwriter along with Kane, offered some additions and modifications to the character. In the years that followed, there was significant contention between the two creators as to who contributed which elements to the character. Kane was long given credit for the totality of Batman's creation, along with most of his rogues gallery. Bill Finger died in 1974, still not receiving any credits for his part in Batman's creation. In the years that followed, however, Bob Kane expressed regret that Finger did not receive the credit that he felt he deserved while still alive. Today the two are considered co-creators of the character and are credited as such in any notable appearances of Batman. Kane and Finger drew upon fictional contemporary characters from the era when designing Batman. Bob Kane's vision for the character was rooted in the wealthy and aristocratic hero with a dual identity, much like Zorro or the Scarlet Pimpernel. Similarly, Batman operated in secret and also carried a signature or symbol. Bill Finger's offerings to the character were rooted in the pulp fiction of the time and drew inspiration from characters such as Sherlock Holmes or Dick Tracy. The issue opens with The Case of the Chemical Syndicate, where a man named Lambert, known as the Chemical King, has been stabbed to death. Police have discovered his son's fingerprints on the murder weapon. Commissioner Gordon at this time is at home with his friend, wealthy socialite Bruce Wayne. He receives the call about the homicide and heads to the scene with Bruce in tow. Gordon interviews Lambert Jr., the man's son, who is vehement that someone else had murdered his father and that his fingerprints must have ended up on the knife as he was pulling it out of his father's back. He also states that his father had 3 business partners who stood to gain from his death: Stephen Crane, Alfred Stryker, and Paul Rogers. At just that moment, Stephen Crane rings and speaks with Commissioner Gordon. He informs Gordon that Lambert had received an anonymous death threat the previous day, and that he himself received one just today and is currently in fear of his life. Bruce Wayne departs, stating that he is going home. The police soon arrive at Crane's house, but are too late. The man has already been shot dead. Elsewhere, the murderer meets his accomplice and shows him a contract he stole from Crane. Suddenly, a dark, terrifying masked figure known as the Batman looms over them before incapacitating the 2 criminals with his martial skills. The Batman then proceeds to investigate the terms of the contract. Sometime later, Paul Rogers goes to Alfred Stryker's house. Stryker's assistant, Jennings, forces Rogers into a makeshift gas chamber in order to kill him. Fortunately, the Batman arrives on the scene. He frees Rogers from the gas chamber and defeats Jennings. Stryker then arrives and conveniently reveals himself to be the mastermind behind Lambert and Crane's murders. He then attempts to attack Rogers, but our hero manages to restrain him. The Batman then reveals that Stryker wanted total control over the Apex Chemical Corporation without having to pay for it, and that he had, in order to obtain sole dominance of the company, hired the murderers to kill his business partners and steal the secret contracts he had with them. At that moment, Stryker tears free from the Batman's grasp and tries to shoot Batman. The Caped Crusader is too quick for him, though, and rocks Stryker with a left cross, knocking him into an acid tank where he is killed instantly. The Batman quips, a fitting end for his kind, before disappearing through an open skylight. The next day, we see Commissioner Gordon talking to Bruce Wayne. The Commissioner tells him about the Batman's recent caper. Wayne acts incredulous and goes home, where it is revealed to the reader that Bruce Wayne is none other than the Batman. The second story is called The Killers of Kurdistan. It's a 6-page tale where Speed Saunders investigates the murders of two men. On one of the men, the killers have left the symbol of a red crescent, the symbol of the Kurdistan Killers, a sect that the victims also belong to, but refuse to kill for. Bullet Bluff is a 6-page Western yarn where Buck Marshall, the range detective, loosens his 6-shooter in its holster to investigate the death of a ranch owner. Superman creators Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster then give us The Mysterious Murders, where spy Bart Reagan investigates the deaths of members of the Committee on Un-American Activities. These members were killed by an explosive capsule that had been hidden in their bananas. Fifth in line is The Murder on the Oceanic Line Docks. This is a 6-page story in which the Crimson Avenger tracks down a killer who murdered one Abe Gold for welching on a $10,000 bet. The Crimson Avenger first debuted in Detective Comics issue 20 and is the first masked superhero to appear in DC Comics. He would later be a member of DC's second superhero group, the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Next is a brief tale titled Death on the Airwaves. In its short 2-page narrative, Captain Byron tracks down a vengeful killer who was once spurned in a radio station audition. The 7th story is The New Orleans Mardi Gras Murders, Part 1. Bruce Nelson begins his investigation of the death of a young woman in the Big Easy. The woman was apparently killed by black magic. After this, we have Sax Rohmer's mysterious Dr. Fu Manchu and his attempts to kill Greba Eltham. In the next story, we have a more comedic tone. It's about a police officer named Flatfoot Flanagan, who is sent out on a call for a bank robbery in progress, but arrives too late as he stops at a red light, not chancing a traffic ticket. The 10th entry is called Illegal Aliens. It's a 6-page story in which Cosmo the Phantom of Disguise is placed on a case involving the illegal trafficking of Chinese nationals into America. After this is Plainclothes Pete, in a story where Plainclothes Pete and Joe, his partner, try to discover the secret location of the hideout of the notorious criminal Louis the Louse. The 12th and final story is Murderer on Vacation. It's a 9-page story, once again by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. In this tale, Slam Bradley and Shorty Morgan help discover the whereabouts of a federal agent who disappeared after tailing an escaped felon to Switzerland. Arguably, just as coveted as Action Comics 1, Detective Comics 27 has cemented its place firmly in Americana with its premier character, Batman. For most, the Batman is the quintessential badass vigilante, uncompromising once his will is set to task. Batman has attained the peak of human physical capability and has honed his mind to work on a level of strategic and tactical prowess that is seemingly unrivaled. Batman is never afraid and always well prepared to deal with any evildoers, whether it be common street thugs or any one of a multitude of iconic supervillains. The Caped Crusader's reputation generally precedes him as it strikes fear into the hearts of his enemies long before he even arrives and meets them in battle. Batman just celebrated his 80th anniversary in the pages of DC Comics and is just as relevant now as he ever was. Batman has gone through many incarnations through the years since first he was conceived, from the swashbuckling detective of Kane and Finger to the campy Batusi dancing version made famous by Adam West, or the grim, grizzled warrior that Frank Miller showed us in The Dark Knight Returns. The pages of DC Comics are inhabited by superpowered legends such as Green Lanterns, Superman, Wonder Woman, and The Flash. Here we also find Bruce Wayne's Batman. Not only does Batman consistently find a way to survive among these gods, but he thrives and also often leads. Batman teaches us that it's our strength of will that determines our limitations. With a strong enough will, we can break through our obstacles, rise above our plateaus, and overcome our enemies. Until next time, thanks for watching, and take care.